Would you like to be somebody who understands why the lottery winners might actually be the unlucky individuals of our society? Then listen to the end of this video where I explain how winning the lottery creates this unpredictable future for yourself, which you do not understand how to navigate successfully, and you suddenly have access to seemingly unlimited power, and you need severe discipline to prevent yourself from blowing the money and letting it harm you. So before we get into this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you'd like to learn more about self-development, dating, Jungian psychology, and how to reduce suffering in life. Let's get into it. So there's this generally held conception that you're lucky if you win the lottery. The world is rigged against most people and only a lucky few get rewarded. But I'm not so sure about that. I think in some sense, for a lot of people, the world is structured to benefit them actually, but I'll discuss that a bit later. So why would lottery winners be unlucky? We need to make the lottery win situation, like winning the lottery, is comparable or compatible with a situation we can all agree is very unlucky. Now, cancer. Hear me out though, why I would compare them. No, the core reasons why cancer is horrific is that it's life-threatening. And obviously the lottery does not have that. The lottery and cancer in that aspect are irreconcilable. But your previous image of the future dramatically metamorphs when you get cancer and when you win the lottery. Suddenly you cannot predict, and that is terrifying in the cancer case, but less for the lottery case. Like in both cases you cannot predict the future, but for the cancer case it's obviously more terrifying. You cannot predict, but both you cannot predict. So let's talk about the cancer case. Let's say you get cancer and you're like 30 years old, you have a job and you suddenly have cancer. You don't know now how, if or when you might die. So your time frame of your life suddenly is vague. You don't know when it's going to end. Secondly, you don't know how long your body will withhold the cancer, whether you'll start deteriorating. That means, will you be able to work? Will you feel like permanent pain? That's another thing. How will that affect your relationships? Will you have any energy to invest in them? How will it affect all your other hobbies and everything? It basically influences all aspects of your life because it's within your body, and when your body changes, your whole life changes. The lottery case, okay, how does it make the future unpredictable? You suddenly have access to all this money. That means, will you continue working? Most people I can imagine will probably say no. And now we need to probably say, how much money have you won in the lottery? Let's say it's like some absurd amount, like 200 million, okay? It's a lot of money. You don't need to worry about working or an income for the future. Okay, so $200 million, let's say. All right. Okay, where will you live then? You don't know. You'll probably buy a new place. Will you hang out with your old friends? If you're moving away, don't know. What are you going to do with your time? That's actually a really big one. What are you going to do with your time? You have no clue yet. So the future seems unpredictable at the moment. So the situations are threatening, but you don't know how to navigate them successfully because you suddenly have this image of the future which is foreign. Hence, you don't know how to maneuver it successfully because you have never experienced it before. You don't know what it's like. So suddenly you have access to almost unlimited power with the money. So how will you restrain yourself, not just from blowing the money, but from harming yourself? For example, you might start a gambling addiction. You're bored, you want to propagate, or how do you say, multiply your money. You might start gambling. That's addictive. You might struggle to refrain from gambling in the future, and you might blow all your money. Pleasure habits. You don't need to work anymore, so you have essentially free time. How are you going to spend it? You're going to enjoy it, right? You'll probably take some vacation, consume certain things that are enjoyable, a lot of pleasure. You'll have a lazy lifestyle maybe because you don't need to work anymore, and the work used to structure your day, and now you do not have a routine anymore. And if people do not have a structure and a routine, I think they experience more negative emotions, more anxiety, because humans are habit animals. They really thrive off routines, and if you don't have that anymore, because this external force, which was your work, place it upon you, now you need to create it yourself. That requires discipline. Will you have new friends? You need serious discipline, essentially. And I think the world is rigged in favor of most individuals in that it prevents them from being subjected to these sudden life-transforming occurrences because people cannot handle them. People cannot handle them, I think, on average. It's an assumption, but I think, yeah. Because you suddenly... Yeah, well, the healthiest growth in life is a gradual kind of growth. And the world is set up to enable that for many individuals. Like, you have these natural barriers that suddenly prevent you from suddenly having access to everything, like that lottery. Of course, only a few individuals win the lottery, and that's like a natural barrier to prevent people from suddenly having 200 million at the tip of their fingers. And I think to sum this up, it's like the lottery is a case of what you want. You want to win the lottery, but it's not what you need. And if you get what you want, you might trigger the downfall of yourself, potentially. Yeah, and because the thing is, life is, I think the most positive emotions, most meaning fulfillment you can experience life is from a gradual growth. You have this sort of subtle, gradual, no, not subtle, but just gradual growth where you experience, you feel like you are moving somewhere. And it is, you essentially want to be caught in that growth because that's when you experience positive emotions, but you stop experiencing positive emotions when you reach your goal, because then you're there and then you're satisfied, let's say, but that's not necessarily something that will offer you long-term positive emotions, which you really want. Because you're then there, and the lottery is like it's a portal to getting to that tip, that apex of all of your goals, maybe immediately, and then you're there. But then what do you do with your life? And that's not only do you need to discipline yourself on how to organize and manage your money, but you need to find something to do with your life. And that's actually something that's really underestimated when discussing the lottery. Is like, yeah, the obvious question is, well, how do you manage the money? But it's not very often, how do you find something that's worth living for? How do you keep yourself engaged and on track, on a trajectory towards continuous growth? Because you need that to feel good about yourself. If you have everything, you just get complacent and you start to lose the fun in life. And you see that with celebrities who suddenly reach fame and then they just sort of decline. They have sort of a bit of a downfall because they don't know how to handle it. They suddenly have all this power at their hands, at the tip of their fingers. They don't know what to do with it. It's also with lottery winners that they at the beginning they feel great, but after a few months their level of happiness sort of declines again. That's because they get used to what they have, of course, but also the money is fleeting. People underestimate how fleeting winning the lottery is. It's not something, it is sort of, it's given such a high value because it's something we think we want, but it's obviously not what we need. And because we want it, our desires also drive us forwards in life. That is sort of it's given that such a high value because our desires are so powerful, and we attribute it with such a high value. But it's really an illusion, I would say. So in conclusion, the reason why lottery winners might be the unlucky ones in our society is because they suddenly have access to something that they want, and in abundance, essentially. And they probably don't know how to manage it, and they don't know how to prevent themselves from it sort of leading to their own downfall, because with a lot of power comes great responsibility. You need to handle it, and if you've never learned how to handle it, you suddenly have this unpredictable situation. You don't know how to navigate it successfully because you've never experienced it before, and it's so difficult to navigate because it's so different, so absurdly different to what you've known in the past, that it's it's like having to learn something completely new, and that's difficult when so I think the world is in some senses rigged in favor of a lot of people, that you have these natural barriers that prevent you from suddenly getting everything you want in life, because if you have this gradual growth and move slowly towards what you want in life and what you need, actually, then when you slowly move towards what you want in life, you get what you need. That's that positive emotion and this meaning of fulfillment and hard work paying off, instead of suddenly just getting what you want without any hard work. So please leave a comment below whether you agree or disagree with my opinion that lottery winners are actually the unlucky ones potentially in our society. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you'd like to learn more about self-development, dating, Jungian psychology, and how to reduce suffering in life. Thank you for listening.